Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And how are we all today? Well, as you can see today, it's a lovely day. A little bit warmer than yesterday. I've got to be honest at this time. If you remember yesterday, I did the broadcast from the rear balcony because it was just a little bit chilly, actually, to be honest. But yeah, today looks like it's going to be a lovely day. Slight haze looking towards Amber Lockerbie and Kerry, but I've got a feeling the sun will burn that haze off. I've just also, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look at vines at the moment, the old vines are now starting to come through as well. So, yep, it looks like we might have grapes on the way for later in the season. Round about August time, normally the grapes are in. And also, one thing you will notice about grapes, they don't half grow quick. They really do. And for those people who aren't aware, the grapes vines that you see here on the ground, they will all go to wine. All right, that's wine will be created from that, made from their grapes. Whereas the trellis over there, which moves from down the little pathway there, when the vines appear on there, they will be eaters. And at the moment, not too much activity with the vines on there at the moment. There's a few sprouts coming through, but let's go and have a look at them, shall we? Yeah, but those vines up there, they will be eaters. And so when it comes to the summer, the whole of that will be basically enclosed in green, with the old things dangling down, the old grapes dangling down. We normally have that many grapes, giving them away because we like them to find a nice home. But anyway, it's looking good this morning. I've got to be honest. It's looking lovely. Looking down towards the back of the house, towards Lagana and also Kalamaki. It's looking nice down there. Can hear a little bit of a breeze just blowing at the moment, and I could see a weather forecast from Amanda coming through, but I can't read it at the moment because of the sun in my eyes. But I will have a look at that as soon as I get on the balcony. And looking towards Sillery in that direction, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a nice day there, and also a nice day looking down towards town as well, down to the Vasilikos area, looking down towards that area. So it looks like it's going to be nice down there. And as we look behind to that part, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a nice day. Anyway, there's been happenings going on within the last 24 hours. I'm just going to quickly... Oh, my God, that was a chicken there. Well, Mr. Cockerell. Hello, Mr. Cockerell. That was Norris, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to quickly flick the screen round. Thank you, Norris, making your presence felt. I'll just kind of quickly read Amanda's weather forecast. Nice to see you looking in there, chick, as well. Also, Amanda, let's have a look. It's Dave Matthews sending me a message, actually. Good morning from Billing Aquadrome, Northampton, at our static first time since last October. Had a wee frost, but sun is out now. Billing Aquadrome, Northampton. So you're obviously out in a static caravan or mobile home or something like that. Nice to see anyway. So people off enjoying themselves. I thought, here's a weather forecast. Amanda says, good morning, Ginge. Sunshine and cloud with a cool wind. Highs of 22 degrees. It'll feel like 25. In town this morning. A meeting for work opportunity. Woohoo! Have a great weekend. Great, fantastic. In fact, there's quite a bit to do with holidays and what's been going on with the holiday market here at the moment. But first of all, as always, let's crack on looking at the scores on the doors when it comes to COVID. And also just a quick reminder of what's been happening. Right, so today is the 17th of April 2021. It's a Saturday. It is now day 163 of our lockdown. COVID in the last 24 hours it is on the decline at the moment, which is good. Infections at the moment are now 3,067 new infections recorded in the last 24 hours. That's down from 3,833. That gives a grand total since the pandemic started of 311,033 cases, all right? 13 new cases were identified at checks into the country. That's also down from 16 on the previous day. Now, according to the national statistics, there's been 3 new cases in Macardo, 3 new cases in Kefalonia, 7 new cases in Corfu, and Zakynthos has had 10 new cases recorded on the national stats. However, when I go to the locally recorded statistics, it says the island yesterday had a low case rate of only 3 cases detected on the island. One of them was molecular testing, and the other 2 were done by the rapid test. However, we still got 9 people in the corona clinic here on Zakynthos, and another 4 are in a state of incubation as well. So at the moment, no real change in the hospital at the moment, but on the locally recorded test positives, only 3. So maybe the national stats are playing a little bit of catch up. So I've only added those 3 locally reported cases to my tally, which now means that Zakynthos, since the beginning of the year, has 405 cases, positive cases here on the island. And this month so far, we've had 131 cases for the month of April. So again, still keeping an eye on the scores. Anyway, as it comes for new deaths are also down as well across Greece. You may remember that on Thursday there was a record amount of deaths, 104 deaths. That is now down to 91 new deaths across the country. That brings the death toll since the pandemic started to 9,330 deaths since the pandemic started. The average age of those people passing away was 79 years of age, and 96% of those people had underlying health conditions or were over the ages of 70. And just to put that in context, the average daily death rate in 2019 was about 329 cases a day. So at the moment, there have been no further deaths here in Zakynthos, which is great news. When it comes to critical cases, I'm afraid, are up at the moment. They are up to 824 from 819, of which 507 are male and 317 are female. So again, the critical cases are up in the ICUs. We've obviously got 4 people here who are in incubation at the moment, and hopefully they will pull through, and we won't have any deaths on our hands, and those people will go home without any problems. Anyway, as for today's news then, as you can obviously understand, at the moment, Zakynthos still remains in the very high risk category here in Greece at the moment, and probably will remain there for at least another week until they review epidemiological data. But anyway, at the moment, looking at the local results, it's starting to take a turn in the right direction, but it all does depend on what our national statistics are, which is what I think most of the time that's what they look at. Anyway, the Greek government's scientific advisors on COVID-19 have confirmed that due to the serious nature of the situation in the country, there is absolutely no room at present for any relaxation of restrictions, including any changes to the rules governing the retail sector. Also, it has been stated that it is too early to contemplate any easing of the ban on inter-regional travel. That means basically those people looking at maybe going back to their villages for Easter. The government is still not making any decision on that. And as Jane reminded me before coming on air, it's just another 2 weeks now until we actually have Easter here, our Greek Orthodox Easter here in Greece. And at the moment, still no word as to whether people can travel about for that. And as we've all been saying, lockdowns are proving that they are not working whatsoever. Anyway, Greece has had up to 200,000 active cases, a leading health expert said on Friday, adding that the decline should be expected after April the 20th. That still seems quite a bit away at the moment. Anyway, speaking on Greek Sky Radio, Nicholas Terantis, an expert in respiratory diseases and the vice president of the Hellenic Thoracic Society, said that a decline in the number of critical COVID-19 patients being monitored in intensive care units should follow 2 or 3 weeks later. He says, I hope that the ICU demand will peak at 900 beds, he said. By noon on Thursday, there were 819 incubated COVID patients compared to 809 the day before on Wednesday, and 776 the week before. Also, as well, a committee of epidemiologists that is now examining the protocols for the launch of the upcoming tourist season in view of the coronavirus pandemic is expected to reach a decision on regarding the rules for crews and also passengers on ferries. Anyway, the decision on the safety standards will reportedly take last year's experience into account. According to reports, the owners of ferry boats will be required to have a rapid test conducted on their staff. Last year, this did not exist, while people who want to travel will be advised to test themselves before their voyage. Tests must be performed on ship's crews at least once a week. Well, at the moment, according to the rules that start on Monday, they should be actually being tested twice a week because they are people who come into contact with the public. So again, we're going to see how the ferries, because again, we've always said here on Zakynthos, our weakness is the ferry. Basically, people coming backwards and forwards. Although people aren't allowed to travel at the moment, there are still restrictions. You're only allowed to travel for medical reasons or leave the island for medical reasons. You're allowed to leave the island for a one-off trip to relocate, and you're allowed to leave the island if it's part of your work. And again, always the lorries that are bringing stuff backwards and forwards across from Patra and also from Athens, you always would feel that the lorry drivers and those people should be tested, and there were calls for tests on these people, but at the moment there's been nothing really said about how the testing has gone on at the port at the moment. Also, as well, the CEO of the US pharmaceutical company Pfizer, Albert Bourla, has stated it is likely that those who have received their 2-dose vaccinations with the Pfizer vaccine will require a further booster jab between 6 and 12 months after the initial full vaccination. It may also be necessary to have an annual COVID jab, as is the case with the flu vaccine, to offer the greatest protection, especially against the new variants of the virus. And as I've always said, let's pull the word flu off and put the word COVID in. We could see this coming, and also, the world has changed, shall we say, and this is something that we're going to have to live with. You're not going to fight this virus and eradicate it. It's now a case of adjusting it and living with it, but do not destroy an economy the way it has been destroyed, basically to suit the virus. And I'm thinking now this was on the cards anyway, and now Pfizer is saying, yeah, have your 2 doses, and now you're going to have a top up every so often. This is looking like the way it's going to be. But again, it should not be what dictates the way that we live and the way that we do business. It's a case of let's get on with it. If you want to have the vaccine, have the vaccine. If you don't want to have the vaccine, the same with the flu shot. You take your chance, don't you? I've never had a flu shot. I certainly haven't had the vaccine at the moment. And again, the goalposts are changing already in that area as well. So we'll wait and see. Now, coming on to some interesting news now, some good news concerning tourism. EasyJet said that they are ready to increase the number of flights to its schedule from the end of May now to the summer, as travel restrictions are gradually being lifted in the UK. At the same time, its CEO is calling for the reduction in the cost of PCR tests to around about 30 quid, a much more affordable amount of money. Still not as cheap as what France are doing it, where they're doing their tests for about 15 euros. But anyway, he says to about £30, because he estimates that most European countries including Greece, will be on the green list come May the 17th. However, it looks like they're not going to start their flights until till the end of May, beginning of June. But anyway, more specifically, the low-cost carrier announced that it's expected to fly up to 20% of its capacity of 2019 between April and June, while at the end of May, it's expected that they will resume large-scale flights. It is also noted that EasyJet implemented only 14% of its 2019 flight plan between October 2020 and the end of March 2021. EasyJet has confirmed that it will show the first half losses by March 2021, which are estimated between to be 6,690 million, and that's about 730 million euros, which is slightly less than they expected thanks to the large reduction that they made in costs. Yeah, hence your travel luggage got slightly smaller. Anyway, the company said that it burned around about £470 million in cash in the second quarter to the end of December, while reducing costs by about 60% to about 854 million. Anyway, the CEO, whose name is Johan Lundred, said we continue to monitor the situation closely across Europe, and with the vaccination programs accelerating, most countries plan to resume large-scale flights in May. We have the operational flexibility to quickly increase our flights and to add destinations to meet demand. EasyJet is ready to continue the flights, prepared for the ascent, and is looking forward to being able to reconnect people with their families or transport them for leisure and business flights. However, he reiterated calls for the government to reduce the price of COVID-19 tests for airline passengers, having already said that sometimes the cost of the test is more than the cost of an EasyJet ticket. And yeah, we all saw that coming, to be quite honest. We certainly did. Anyway, he stressed that he expects most European countries to be included in the government's quarantine-free green category when the international travel is allowed from May the 17th, which is also the day that Mitsotakis here is banking on, is when Greece is open for tourism business as well. He was asked if he expects destinations such as France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Greece, Croatia and Cyprus and Turkey to be included in the government's green list, and Mr. Ungram replied yes, when we open to travel on May the 17th, and if the government continues to implement the plan for the two examination system. It is also recalled that the British will be allowed to travel abroad for foreign holidays from May the 17th, according to the government roadmap to reduce coronavirus restrictions. Well, I've got to be honest, we still don't know if that's going to happen at the moment, as Boris still ums and ahs and fudges around and doesn't make 100% final decisions that people know where they are, and we certainly know where we stand over here in Zakynthos at the moment. Now, another little bit of hope as well is that 300,000 Russian tourists have promised that, sorry, I'll say that again. TUI Russia has promised that 300,000 Russian tourists will start coming to Greece from May the 14th, when it decides it will start resuming flights from Russia here to Greece. Now, they stressed, the CEO of TUI Russia, Tsar Demir, in a meeting he had with the Minister of Tourism, Greek Minister of Tourism, Haris Thriakis, Mr. Durman said that the situation is developing favourably for TUI Russia, and they will start charter flights to Crete from Moscow and Yekaterinburg, as well as to Corfu from Moscow, Rostov and Kazan. Anyway, in addition, TUI Russia said it's ready to offer trips and excursions to Athens, Halkidiki, the Peloponnese, Zakynthos and Santorini based on its regular flights. So I think by that what they'll mean is they'll fly them into maybe Athens, and then they will ship them from Athens to here somehow. I'm not sure if there's going to be direct links to Moscow or any of the other destinations from Zakynthos. Again, if I remember rightly, a few years ago, before the sanctions went in, basically the Russians were being looked upon as a demographic that were going to be the savior of Greece. Anyway, it never really quite worked out that way, because the Russians were paying a heck of a lot of money to come on holiday, and a lot of hotels that basically were for the Russian market, they soon found themselves changing their demographic to other nations, because the Russians had a bit of a reputation as being a bit difficult to deal with, and people weren't quite sure what the Russian psyche was like. However, I'm wondering if that psyche has changed. I keep thinking of Rasputin and, oh, those Russians was the kind of the catchphrase at the time. And we will see how many of the Russians turn up, and whether they will have any effect on our, shall we say, bottom line. I must admit, I met quite a few Russians who came on holiday. For some of them, they didn't really have the spending power as obviously the British nations, etc. And they were actually spending a lot to get a holiday as well. And flights from Russia to Greece weren't cheap for the average Russian. But those that I did meet were all very nice. By God, they like to drink, that is for sure. And I remember at Magdalena's, we used to get quite, I wouldn't say big groups of Russians come visiting, but we would get little groups of them come in, and they always very respectful, spoke very good English, that's what I can say as well. And they actually were nice people. So, and again, we'll see how that changes there. Anyway, again, a nice, pleasant surprise, a nice bit of good news for you on this day. There was a pleasant surprise for people in Zakynthos town last night, as they switched on the lights round the Venetian castle. Now, the Venetian castle, which some people may not have seen, sits on the top of Bockley Hill. It's been there for over 1,000 years. It's been there for nearly as long as maybe the Tower of London has been there. And it was always a place of refuge in the time of crisis for the locals down in the town, where they would rush up that hill, lock themselves inside when the island was besieged by pirates that would come in and raid Zakynthos. And when these pirates came in, it wasn't just characters like Johnny Depp in one boat. You were talking massive fleets coming in of 200 or 300 vessels that would attack the island from all different points, and they would obviously make a beeline for the churches to steal all the gold and steal all the icons and get what they could and return to their boats. And so the people would go up to the fortress on top of the hill. The fortress was also the location where the Germans used that as their headquarters during the war, and the British used it as well, believe it or not. That it was the British actually who put the water pipelines into the fortress. I always feel the fortress, not enough is said about the fortress. It is another little jewel in the island for people to go and visit. It's got a fascinating history. It probably has one of the smallest football pitches that was built in 1832 by the British, who insisted on a game of football. And it's well worth a look when it's open in the summer. Well, at the moment, the municipality has managed to fix the problems with the lights. They have managed to get the power to the lights reconnected again. There had been problems with damage to the cabling, and as of yesterday, the lights are back on now around the fortress. There is more work to be done. They're going to be clearing some of the higher levels of trees and foliage, but anyway, the lights are back on, and they used to beam out at night. And they're also a nice little guide if you're a sailor on your vessel and you're looking for the lights of Zakynthos to put into port. They also had a secondary role as a point of note as to where your position was while you're at sea. So anyway, nice to see those lights have returned, and nice to see that the municipality got their act together and got those lights back on. Anyway, as you're aware today, just on a slightly serious note, and this is my finally story, today is obviously the funeral of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. That's going to take place today in the United Kingdom. It seems that Corfu at the moment is actually making it known about Prince Philip's connection with the island. Obviously, Prince Philip was born on Corfu, and he was born actually at the Mont Repos, which was the name of the house, which is now also a small museum. And it's a place that's well worth a look from looking at the online pictures. So if you ever get to Corfu, go and have a look at it. The history of the building is actually quite impressive, and there is now a museum in there with lots of audio-visual stuff for you to go and look at. And the house has been renovated by the Greek state because basically in 1974, when the junta came to power, basically they took control of that location off King Constantine. King Constantine was supposed to have been played a sort of it was taken from him, but he was supposed to be given recompense for it, which he never really got. I think he got 1% of its value, and that was it. But anyway, it was taken into keeping by the Greek state. It was obviously reconstructed because the house had fallen into disarray and disrepair, and now you can actually go and visit it. And it's quite amazing the story that Prince Philip was born on the kitchen table in the villa, and then was smuggled out in an orange box to escape when the change of government took place back in 1922, when they'd actually deposed, or 1921, when they actually deposed the actual Greek royalty. So again, the Corfu government also says they have sent their condolences to the family, and also that Corfu is going to be thinking about Prince Philip as well today. And again, if you do get a chance to come and visit Corfu in the summer, go and look at the Mont Repos villa where he stayed. Also, interestingly, another very famous Austrian stayed there, whose name was also Queen Elizabeth. She was the Princess Diana of Austria, and she's held in great reverence by the Austrians. Jane and I, when we visited Vienna a couple of years ago, when we went to see Opus in concert, we were told the story of Elizabeth. She was a bit of a Princess Diana character. She came from a poor family, became queen of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and she was kind of a sad character. She actually ran away to Corfu, stayed at the Mont Repos for a while, fell in love with the island, and then decided that she would build her own villa there, and made the place a popular location for the aristocracy of that era. And unfortunately, she was murdered by an anarchist who walked past her and stabbed her with a very sharp needle. She didn't realise that she'd been stabbed, and it wasn't until she got back to her yacht to sail away that she realised that she'd been actually stabbed in the heart, and then she died. And she was kind of held in great esteem by the Austrian people. But anyway, that's another little story there. Anyway, so again, we will be watching the coverage of the funeral today, looking out for the Land Rover that Prince Philip actually created himself, designed himself, that will be his final drive to his final resting place. And it'll be interesting to see how the funeral goes ahead. There's been a lot of furore around what's been going on. I'm not going to get involved in that, because I think that should not take away from the focus of the man who for the last 70 years was there standing at the side of Her Majesty. And a legend goes on, and we'll see where the royalty, the modern royalty, stands after that. And I bless the Queen. She's sort of on her own a little bit now, and we'll see what happens with all the infighting that's going on within the family, which I think is not good for her, especially at this time of her life. Again, I'm not going to go down that road because it just aggravates the hell out of me. But anyway, let's have a look and see who's tuning in. Nice to see Amanda Gregory. I hope everything goes well for you with your job. Dave Matthews as well. I hope you're enjoying yourself at Billing Aquadrome in Northampton in his static. Charles Ballantyne is watching. Nice to have you tuning in, buddy. Amanda Gregory, obviously. Rachel Hanson is watching as well. Paul Bruff up there in the Peloponnese up in, is it Volos up there? Nice to have you tuning in, buddy. How's the yacht doing? It'd be a nice day for sailing, I think. Richard, you're not allowed to go sailing, are you? I'm not sure if that's allowed on the checking out system. Richard, you can go fishing. Does that mean you can go sailing? David Matthews is ecstatic. Teresa Ann Huggett is watching as well. Ian Boo says, morning, Ginge, from a sunny Huddersfield. Pleased to hear that. Christine Brown is watching in. Sid James is watching as well. Nice to have you tuning in, Sid. Delia Gassetti is also watching in as well. Maria Hadelberg says, Galimera from a sunny Sweden. Very warm here today. It's +5. Have a happy day. Thank you, my lovely. Will Brand is also watching as well. Gaz Collins, my old mate, is tuning in, and he says, morning, old friend. I was so chuffed you turned up yesterday in the chat area when I was doing my live broadcast from here yesterday. That made my day. Nice to keep getting in touch with you again, buddy. I hope all is well. Amanda Gregory says, I hear we have tourists walking around the island. Seems unfair. We still have a lockdown. I've not heard that we've had... I don't know where you've got this from, because again... But then again, this is what's happening in the UK at the moment. The UK at the moment... I'm not sure if you're talking about the UK now, if you're talking about here... Oh, no, you're talking about the islands, yeah. In the UK, this is the craziness of it. Tourists are still coming in on holidays. Yet you as a citizen of the United Kingdom are not allowed to leave, you know. And if you do leave and it's found it's an unnecessary journey for you going, you get fined £5,000. This is the ludicrousy of what is going on at the moment. So I don't know anything about tourists walking around the island. I did see one character yesterday in Lidl, walked in, no mask on, not playing the game, walking around. Everybody was looking at him like he had two heads. I think he realised that he'd made a big mistake. He wasn't Greek, by the way. I got a feeling he was of Eastern European descent, but he hurriedly made his purchase. And it was one of them times when you thought, well, where's security when you want security, you know? But anyway, it'll be interesting to see where this leads to, that we're still in lockdown and there are tourists here. However, if they are here, they can't do a lot. I mean, they can't go anywhere. There's nothing open at night, if you know what I mean. And again, I know that even in the hotels, people who are staying in there, they're not allowed to have their bars open in their hotels, even for the people staying in there. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. It might be somebody here who's here to work, do some kind of business. But, yeah, I shall look into that. I'll be interested to see where that has come from. Anyway, Catherine Ling is also looking in as well. Rob Davis is watching as well. Rosewood is watching. Nice to have you. Cherry Stott up there, the north end of the island. Nice having you tuning in as well. Dave Burns, morning, GC. Thank you for that, Dave. I've got to say, tune in to Dave today. He's on his his journey. He'll be on air at some point. Can I just say thank you to all those people who tuned in yesterday to me on beachradio.co.uk. Those that weren't in the pub last night in the UK, all enjoying themselves with their first weekend, as it were, out of lockdown. Oh, just another quick point of view. If there's anybody tuning in at the moment from the UK who's thinking of going to Windsor to basically be there for the royal funeral, go, all right? The BBC have been putting out all this rubbish about you're not allowed to go, stay away. You are allowed to go. You're not breaking any laws. As long as you're in a group of 6, you're allowed to go. So as long as you can say that number 1 is mine, number 2 is mine, number 3 is mine, number 4, number 5, oh, and me is number 6. You are legally covered and the police cannot touch you. They cannot do you for breaking any lockdown restrictions that are in the UK, because people in groups of 6 can get together. Now, whether all these groups of 6 all happen to be standing close to each other, that's another thing. But you as an individual with your family or with your partner, you can go to Windsor if you want. And if you want to see the old boy off, yes, that is your right to do it. So don't listen to the BBC and all the bull crap that they've been putting out about people are going to be arrested and the police are going to do this and the police are going to do that. Whose mouthpiece are you, BBC? You're certainly not the people's mouthpiece at the moment. And why not cancel your TV licence as well? Because you're allowed to do that, and spend your money and watch me instead for free. All right. Anyway, Dean Edwards is watching as well. Nice to have you. Wendy Norcliffe is watching. Somebody else has said about tourists walking around, but I think that's a reply. Ian Booth says, have you seen them? Have you seen them, Amanda? Oh, that's what Boothie's asking, if he's seen them. Again, I'll check that story. That to me, that's the first I've heard of actual tourists coming to the island. And somebody's just said to me, BBC are the worst. Thank you very much for that. Lorna Gant is also tuning in. Mark Stewart is watching. Denise Tyndall is watching. Ian Daly is watching. Wiggy Winstanley from Cyprus is tuning in. Lovely to see you, Wiggy. Don't forget, tomorrow, mate, it's the Northern Soul Show on Beats Radio from 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock UK time, which will be 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock your time in Cyprus, all right? Teresa Ann Huggett is also tuning in as well. Morning to you and James from sunny Harlow in Essex. Oh, Harlow. Howard Lamb is also tuning in as well. Nice to have you looking in, Howard. Wiggy says morning. Heather Nash is looking in. She says, hi from Heather and Gary. Lorna Gant said the BBC are the worst. Good on you, Lorna. I really have lost any respect for the BBC in the last little while. Although I must admit, I think Hugh Edwards would probably do good coverage. And unfortunately, you have to go to the BBC for the coverage of these things. What I hope they don't do is the way they screwed up big style on the Diamond Jubilee for the Queen. I'd never seen such banal coverage of what was going on there. I hope but the problem is the BBC don't seem to learn lessons. They just seem to go into the next blunder after the next blunder. I just hope that they actually get their act together and they do good coverage of his funeral and put somebody sensible in to do the coverage and not do these stupid Vox Pops things with I can't remember the name of the woman who does the horses. I can't think of a sodding name. But anyway, Hugh Edwards, I think, it does have a great character about what he does. Anyway, Sid James says, great podcast. Agree with you 100%. Thank you, Sid. Shane Bowen also says, Gallimera Ginge. Shane Bowen says, great show last night from beautiful sunny Exmoor. The BBC are corrupt and they should lose their licence. Do you know what? The corruption with the BBC, the amount of money that is wasted by them. It was a fantastic institution. It was an institution that Britain could be proud of. But to be honest, with the box tickers, the woke brigade, the waste of public money, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Coronation Street had a brand new set built, cost about £10 million to build, all right? EastEnders set, £90 million. £90 million for the EastEnders set, and you're thinking, what the hell? 90 million quid? Why couldn't you get the guys in who done the Coronation Street and build the EastEnders, get them to build the EastEnders set? And they're doing the same job, and the Coronation Street one at a fraction of the cost. I just wish they didn't. Haven't watched Coronation Street or EastEnders in many years. To me, it's all doom and gloom, gritty reality, EastEnders. Don't go there, Ginge. All right, fair enough. Anyway, right, that's it from me for today. Can I just say once again, thank you for all those people tuning in. Just to remind you that yesterday's live show, is up online on Mixcloud, and also the show from Wednesday is there as well, up online. And Wednesday's show has done really, really well in the charts. It's, I think, number 48 in the reggae chart, and it's in about It then suddenly appeared in the pop chart, put it that way. Thank you for that. I'll see how the show yesterday does in the chart. Also as well, Beats Radio's undergoing a few changes at the moment. They're getting more things together, more things happening. My repeat from yesterday's show tonight is going out at 7 o'clock your time in the UK till 9 o'clock. which is 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock here. I will be in the chat area looking around. I'll keep my eye in there. But anyway, you want to come and hear yesterday's Dance Anthem show. The Dance Anthem show from last week has done incredibly well in the Mixcloud charts, in the tech house, the dance area, and also in the pop area as well. And so I really am looking for it. Anyway, Zanti Pete says, good morning, Ginge, and all peeking in to hear the news. Have a great, fantastic day. Right, I'm going to go now. You have a nice day today. And if you say a little prayer for Prince Philip, if you wish, light a candle if you can, if you're allowed in a church anywhere as well. I will see you again tomorrow. And also I will be looking at this thing about tourists here on the island, because I've not heard anything about tourists here on the island. I'm going to do some little checking through some sources, see what I can find out. I'm thinking that these people may not be, there might be people who are breaking the COVID restrictions. That might be the other thing as well. So there might not be tourists in the true sense. There might be people being cheeky, making some excuse to come across from the mainland to here to spend a few days. But anyway, I shall have a little look into that story and see how much truth there is in that. Anyway, that's it from me. Hello, Hilary Rogers. Quick wave to you, my darling. I better go. I've got to cook breakfast now. Anyway, I'll catch you later. You take care. Have a great day. Ta-ra.